the shooting in Alabama with the Crimson Tide program being involved, and Brandon Miller, who is as terrific as they come in college basketball, part of the reason why Alabama is a 1 seed, I think is going to, certainly if Alabama starts making it to the Sweet 16 and the Final Four, it's going to wind up in more places than just columns or on the internet or the top of news stacks. I mean, it's going to go throughout the entire country with news stations getting interested. How do you think this plays out, Seth?
Well, I think it's going to play out exactly the way that you described, because they're the best team in the country. Now, the best team doesn't always win, but the thing that I really look for, first of all, who's got the highest ceiling? If everybody plays as well as they can possibly play, who wins? The answer is Alabama. And the other question is, who can beat a really good team when they're playing poorly, especially shooting poorly? And it's a very short list, and at the top of that list is Alabama because of the way that they defend, their ability to get to the foul line, and their ability to get to the glass, offensive and defensive. And they have a true alpha, really the most talented player in the country in Brandon Miller, who, when nothing else is working, you just give him the ball, get out of his way. That's the basketball side. What you just described is, I think, what's exactly going to happen. And it's unfortunate and it's awkward, but we're keeping in perspective. It's a lot less unfortunate than what happened to this young mother whose life was absolutely senselessly and violently taken away. We should never forget what this is really about. In terms of the basketball piece and in terms of Alabama's handling of the situation, did they do everything perfectly? No. Did they do everything the way I would have done? No. I definitely believe that he should have sat a couple of games, as well as Jaden Bradley, because they were both there. I can only tell you, Rich, I've dug deep into this thing, and I've talked to people in the know, on background, on the record, all of it. It is very complicated. First of all, he has not only not been charged, but they said right away he is not just a witness, a cooperating witness. So that was the first thing that Alabama knew. And then also Alabama knew that he was there and his role in this, but the public didn't know. And they are very hands-off on this because, rightly so, they don't want to be seen as, or in effect interfering with a murder investigation. So they're like, hey, man, we ain't touching this thing. Like, whatever law enforcement, we're not interviewing players, we're not digging for information. So they were in an awkward spot about not putting out that information. Once it came out and they were kind of learning things through the courts the way the public was, they have to make these decisions. Again, I would have sat him, but it's very hard to get to the point where you say, well, he should have been kicked off the team for somebody who hasn't been charged and is a cooperating witness. Say, okay, well, he's not kicked off the team, but he should sit for a couple of games. Fine. That's what I think. But whenever he got back to the court, you would have that same wave of criticism saying he shouldn't be playing at all. Why did he only sit 2? And then if you take his whole season away, there's a whole wave of criticism saying you're not being fair to the kid. You're opening yourself up to legal liability from him and his camp about damage to his career. So it's an awful situation and it's a tough situation. And I think I'm glad you asked me about it, because I think I would only hope that however people feel, they would first acknowledge the complexities of actually having to make these decisions. And then also let's just stick with the facts. Like, as long as we're factual, then I think reasonable people can disagree.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.